Good morning, folks. Hope you're in for a great day. We've been talking about faith in our series this last week, and talking about that it is by faith that you come into faith in Christ. It's through faith that you find and respond to the grace of God. It's by faith that you live your life. It should be an attitude that we carry with us. It's also an action. It's something that we do. We don't want to just talk about it and think about it. We actually want to do some faith stuff, and by that we grow in our faith. But let me say this at the very beginning, that faith is only as good as its object. Now, God is faithful. You know why? Because He's the picture, the personification of faith. Faithfulness is just the fruit of somebody who has faith. Now, God has faith in a whole bunch of different things. His faith is obviously in Himself. He's not being arrogant. He's not being egotistical. He's just being God. He knows who He is. And so He has to be the very object of our faith. Now, in Mark 11, Jesus tells us very clearly what to have faith in. They had an issue over a tree, and a tree had not produced the fruit that it was meant to have produced, and Jesus cursed this tree. The next day they walked past, and one of the disciples said, "Hey, Jesus, look at the tree that you cursed yesterday. It has died." And Jesus looks with shock and said, "Well, what do you expect? I cursed the tree yesterday." And He turns to this guy and He says, "Have faith in God." And He says, don't have faith in yourself, because you're not going to cut it. Don't have faith in faith, because that's not going to do it either. Have faith in God. Now, there's a lot of substitute for gods out there. Some of you will say, have faith in your church. Well, I hope you can trust your church to a certain extent. But the church is made up of a bunch of frail human beings. They're probably going to let you down as well. They're probably going to disappoint you. So don't have faith necessarily like this in the church. Don't have faith in yourself, because you know how weak you are. Don't have faith in faith, because you know that faith in faith is just actually, at the end of the day, just trusting yourself, because you're only as strong as the faith that you have. And if you have faith in that, you're in trouble anyway. So it's about having faith in God. I've got to tell you, people, I don't know of a better object of faith than God Himself. When you look at His track record, God has never failed. You look at His track record, well, every promise that God has made, He has fulfilled. Every promise in accordance with His purpose has been done. God will never fail. I don't have a problem having faith in a God like that. So when we have faith in God, something remarkable happens. Now, I'm looking for a great example, and probably one of the most beautiful examples of this kind of faith is the faith that David had when he stood in front of Goliath. And Goliath said, "Hey, man, who do you think you are that you should come out and fight with me? Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks and stones? Don't you know who I am? Have you not seen how big I am? Look at me. I'm 9 foot tall. I have armor that weighs 100 and something pounds. I have a spear, the beam of which is as thick as a weaver's beam. Young man, who do you think you are that you should come out and fight with me?" And David doesn't argue with him. David doesn't say, "Well, don't you know who I am? I've killed a lion and a bear, And he doesn't hold on to the fact that he has done those things. He says, "I come to you in a name, or with a name. And the name of Jehovah, the name of the God that you have besmirched today, is the name of the power that is behind me. So don't mess with me, because I have a great God behind me." Now, his faith was not in his catapult or his slingshot. No, it wasn't that. Although he says he had killed a lion and a bear, that's impressive. That's really impressive. But he wasn't holding on to that as he stood in front of this huge man. But he had faith in God. And he said to him, "It is God who's going to bring you down today. I just happen to be the agent through which He chooses to do it. But the victory will be God's. I have faith in Jehovah, who is going to take you down today." Now, when we have faith in faith, or faith in ourselves, we're walking on frail ground, because the chances are we're not going to cut it. The chances are we're not strong enough to do that stuff. But when you have faith in a God who is able to do anything exceedingly abundantly above all that you ask or think, that's the kind of God that you need to put your faith in. God needs to become, and I say this with I almost feel with a real sense of reverence, to say that God has to be the object of our faith. He's the person of faith. He's the one behind faith. He's the one who gives us faith. So, you know, there are other things that people would say. Have faith in positive thinking. And I love positive people, but positive thinking is not going to cut it either. Have faith in your own ability, because greater is He who's in you than he who's in the world. That's the truth too. But faith in you, because you're human, you're going to fail. So today, whatever challenge you may be facing, people, listen carefully. Whatever challenge you're facing today, I don't know whether it's an economic, a health, a relational challenge, whatever it may be, your faith in God and in God alone is going to be that which will get you through this thing. Don't try to have faith in a person. They're not going to cut it. Don't try to have faith in yourself or in positive thinking or anything like that. Have faith in God. He is the object and needs to be the object of your faith, because He cannot fail. And when you put your object in so powerful a thing, then your faith is secure. There's so many people walking around with failed faith, and they pick up guilt because they didn't think they had enough faith. And the preacher said I'd be healed, and I'm not healed. And then they come back and say, well, your faith wasn't big enough. All that does for you is gives you guilt. Don't believe a word they say. Don't believe a word they say. Don't let anybody lay guilt on you and tell you your faith isn't big enough. We're going to talk about that in the coming days, because the object of your faith is more important than the amount of faith you have. The quality of your faith is more important than the quantity of your faith. So it's about a quality faith in a God who cannot fail. So I say again, whatever you're going through today, once you put your faith in God, tell God you're doing that. Take some time, whether you're driving your car or sitting in your office or sitting at home. I don't know where the heck you are, but take some time today to acknowledge God, as we said yesterday, affirm who He is, and tell Him, God, I'm going to put my faith and my trust to every ounce of this little faith that I have in You, because I know You cannot fail. Have a great day. Think about that.